What's up guys, my name is Tom, welcome back to another video and here back to my F2 2020 career mode as Robert Shwartzman. Today is time for round 7 for the British Grand Prix. If you haven't watched the previous episode, the Austrian Grand Prix, I highly recommend to go check it out. But championship wise, we are only 16 points ahead of Nobuharu Matsushita and then a lot ahead of the third place. So it's been kind of a league about just me and Matsushita, and the Japanese is starting to close the gap very rapidly because we've not been performing that well in these last few rounds. Last race in the sprint race at Austria, we spun, which it wasn't ideal, and we finished outside of the point, and Matsushita won that race, so that was a huge kick in our championship tally to gain this title. But anyway, we are on practice. Pace has been okay, at least on the hard tire. We'll see how it's going to be in qualifying. Try still to get a little bit used to the F2 cars because I don't drive that much with these F2 cars because I just race them in this career mode. But anyway, across the line is going to be a 1:32.1 going purple on the last sector, and we are up into P4, but then we gain 2/10 on the next lap, and we gone fastest at the end of the practice session. But as we skip forward to the end of the session, you're going to see that we finished way down here. Jack Aitken set the fastest time, our teammate Mick Schumacher in P13, but for us, we are second to last, so things are not starting very smoothly in this weekend. You know that we've been struggling a lot, especially through the practice session, because it takes me a little bit of time to get used to the harder comparative type. But anyway, it's time for qualifying. We'll see if we can get a good performance. Getting a race win or a podium is going to be really tricky. I'm expecting maybe big things when it comes to the sprint race, because I think I'm going to find a hard time in qualifying. In the feature race, you never know what can happen, so letting everyone doing their laps, because we just have one set of softs, and I always like to just do one run in the end of the session where the track has more rubber. So here we go, we're already doing our very first lap on the softest comparative tire through the final couple of corners. You need to be really patient with these cars, put the throttle as early as you can, which we do so through the last corner across the line, and it is a 1:30.2, and we are in last place so far, so things are not going really good at the moment, as this corner is really painful to do cops in the F2 cars, because you have to take a huge lift in order to not to run and get a track limit warning through Maggots Beckett Chapel. It's really challenging to do with these cars, and now we open the DRS and we skip a little bit forward, going into ultra speed mode, gaining 3/10 of a second as we're going through the last couple of corners. Once again, through the throttle as early as you can. What is this going to do? Only an improvement of 2/10 of a second, and it is just enough to put us in P19. So this is going to be my last lap. We'll see what is going to put us at the start of a feature race. It's not being a very good lap from us. We are down on our previous best, so it seems most likely that our best start is going to be P19, but actually we improved a little bit on the traction zone across the line, a little bit of track extending, but it is just P18 at the start of the feature race with Nobuharu Matsushita starting in pole position. So definitely red flags for Robert Shwartzman, because we have two extremes. The second place in the championship is going to start in pole position, already gained 4 points on us, and is going to have a really good chance to get 25 points. So we have a lot of work to do on the first race, but hopefully we can put a very good comeback drive. So without further ado, let's go to the feature race for the British Grand Prix.
Welcome to Silverstone, one of the staples of the Formula 2 Championship. It's a firm favourite amongst fans and drivers alike, and we're all keen to see what it has in store for us in today's race. So Silverstone's 3.6 miles of tarmac and 18 corners are no stranger to rain. Even in these conditions, without the DRS that would normally be available, the Wellington and Hangar straights still represent some of the best opportunities for overtaking. I'm joined by a man who's had many a wet race, Davide Valsecchi. Just how challenging will these conditions be out there on track?
Delighted to be here, Alex. Even in this weather, nothing will be easy for them. We may have standing water, which means visibility will be a worry. They just need to stay clear of the white lines and curbs. That can cause you a real problem when it's so slippery.
Let's take a look at the grid positions for today's race. An immense lap from Nobuharu Matsushita yesterday puts him on pole position, with Christian Lundgaard alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Piquet, Tictum, Yuki Tsunoda and Daruvala, Schumacher, Dragovic, Armstrong, Marino Sato, Mazepin, Joe, Jack Aitken and Eilert, Giotto, Alesi, Markelov and Robert Shwartzman, Delatraz and Guilherme Samaya, Galeo and Roy Nissany completes the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
And here we are on the track, guys, ready to start of the British Grand Prix. It's raining, so to make things even harder, even worse for us, is raining for the entire race. This is going to happen. We're starting way down the order, not feeling very comfortable on the dry. Hopefully it can be a different story in the rain, and hopefully we can do something about it. But anyway, we have a very hard race to face in these tricky conditions. Wet tires, there's no intermediates whatsoever in the F2 category as we're getting ready to the start of the feature race. Matsushita starting in pole position, 5 red lights, 15 wet laps ahead of us, and it slides out, and away we go. A very, very slow start, trying to not lose the back end already on the start-finish straight, and it was actually a pretty decent start considering that we are in very tricky conditions. We're getting really close to Artem Markelov, and we are trying to be really careful being on wet conditions for the first time this race as we go down inside of the two BWT Ardens, and down inside we go of Callum Eilert and Luca Giotto, and that's us already up into P14 as I'm trying to get P13 of Guilherme Samaya, but there's nothing that I can do as I'm trying to be really careful. My right foot I should say, has to be the weight of a feather because it's so easy to lose the back end, especially in these F2 cars, because there's a lot of turbo lag, at least I feel that, so you can put all the throttle down, but out of nowhere you can lose the back end. But anyway, trying to take a look around the outside of the Brazilian, but there's nothing that I can do. I'm trying to maybe take a wider line, take different lines, try to get a good traction, which we do, so getting a nice slipstream off the Campos, but I'm not going to do anything. You can see that I lift a little bit because there's no way that I want to go side by side through cops in the first lap where there is a lot of water spread in the circuit. I get a good run through cops, so maybe I could try to go down inside through the Margets, Beckers and Chapel complex, but I'm not going to do that. That would be silly, and we have a huge mountain to climb if we want to score points, and maybe get to the reverse grid pole. We have a long ladder, a long mountain to climb over the course of these next 15 laps, but good run through Chapel, and we're getting a nice slipstream, very slow slipstream as we go down inside of Jack Aitken, I should say. So I was saying Samaya for this entire time, so apologies for that, but down inside we go off the grid, racing at home, and that's us into P13. But this is the man that is leading the race for now. It's Nobuharu Matsushita trying to get the championship lead. As things stand, he would take the championship lead because he's gaining 25 points plus 2, the fastest lap I want to say. But anyway, he's going to it's most likely that we're going to lose the championship lead in this race unless we have a miracle to face. Maybe a miraculous safety car really would come in handy as we're getting really close to Guan Yu Zhou, but you can see the amount of understeer that I have as I'm trying to catch this little train and this UNI virtuosi, and actually we have a little train here ahead of us, so it seems that everyone is stuck in each other's dirty air and in each other's slipstream, and no DRS is allowed for now because we are in wet conditions as we are getting a good run through Margets, Beckers and Chapel. But you can see that in the traction zones I'm not that confident. I really don't want to spam this Prema car as we are going purple on the second sector, so maybe the confidence is starting to build up, maybe the track is starting to dry up a little bit, and who knows, we can see the dry tires in the later stages of the race. The strategy is going to be key, but I believe that is going to reign for the entire race. It's just the cars are going round as I'm going try to go round the outside of Guan Yu Zhou, and we are going to make the move, make sure leaving a little bit of room. Like I was saying, we might reign for the entire race, but we're getting faster and faster because we're getting more confident as laps go by, and there's less water over the course of this race because everyone is going through as we get tons of understeer through the first corner, and we are forced to go to the escape road. And actually we got a warning for corner cutting, and if that was real life I would have had to hand over the position to Zhou. But anyway, we got away with that, and we're going to press on already in P12. We're making good progress considering that we've been struggling a lot in qualifying and it is very wet, tricky conditions, but you can see that in the last few laps I've been struggling a lot to follow Christian Lundgaard, so I decided to take a gamble. I'm going to be 2 laps earlier, hopefully I can get an undercut on these guys because they're going to be stuck in each other's dirty air, which can be real powerful around this circuit, especially in conditions which offer a lot of understeer to your car. So hopefully this can work. The longest pit lane on the calendar, and we're going to dress a brand new set of wet tires. I think there's no way that we're going to fit the dry tires. Hopefully the rain is not going to ease off enough to be you know, ready for dry tires, because if that happens it's going to be total disaster. So here we go. Hopefully we can do a very nice undercut, and maybe we can be at least P8 would be perfect because we would have been on pole position for the next race. But anyway, we're going to exit the pits very gingerly. The tires are still cold, no tire blankets in this sport, remember. So we're going to take it easy in these first few corners, and hopefully, and now is hammer time, and hopefully we can overtake these guys. So these guys are pitting. There is Pedro Piquet, which is fitting the dry tires. The drivers are fitting the dry tires. I want to say there is one of the Collins which is fitting the hard tires as well. Everyone is fitting the dries. There is Marcus Armstrong fitting as well. So it seems that everyone is taking a gamble and fitting the dry tires, and I might be the only one in this race in the second stint that is on the wet comparative tires. So this is not ideal for us, but you can see there is a lot of water. The rain is still falling on the track, so this is a very weird situation as we're going through the first corner. So we'll see if we can overtake these guys. Tons of understeer through the first corner, and Mazepin, I believe that we got closer to the Russian. However, everyone is on the dry tires, so like I was saying, this is a very tricky situation, like it was in the 2012 Brazilian Grand Prix. Like, it's raining, however the best tire to be are the dries. And I don't know if I'm going to stay in this position for much long, or our race is ruined. But if I pit, I'm going to be in dead last, and that race pretty much over for us. So I need to survive for the rest of this race in these wet tires. But you can see that actually I'm doing pretty good so far. I'm not finding any trouble in this striped blue tire, and I'm actually getting close to Mazepin, and he's not having that much good traction. So this can be a strategic masterstroke from us as we're getting really close to the Russian. Side by side we go, maybe through cops. Here we go. We're going to try to go down inside. He just closes the door, but he runs wide in the process, and he's going to lose a bit off the back end because of those wet curves, as we're now going side by side through Markets, Beckers and Chapel. Hopefully there's no contact because we know Mazepin, and we made the move, and we are up into, I won't say that this might be virtually P12, but you can see that at the moment it seems that the wets are the best tire to be in. But I have the fear that the rain is going to start to ease down a little bit, and we're going to get to the crossover, and at the end of the crossover the best tire that is going to be you know, in the perfect conditions is going to be the dry. So I'm not quite comfortable at the moment. This is not guaranteed that we're going to score points in this race. There's a lot of laps. We are in the middle stage of the race. We have 7 laps to go as we're setting personal, but you can see that we're setting personal bests despite being stuck in the dirty air. We're going purple on the last sector as we're jumping a lot of people in the pit lane. So this is going to put us for now in P12 like I was expecting. Make that P11 as Zhou is exiting the pits. We're just ahead of the Chinese, and we are not knocking at the door to points. Now the next target is Marcus Armstrong, but you can see that I'm starting to drop a little bit as Sean Galale is out of the race and the virtual safety car has been deployed. And it's a shame that he is outside of the top 10, so that is not going to be a free position for us. And there he is, John Galale is British Grand Prix, comes to an end in a very frustrating season. I think he already scored points, but not that much. And that Dams decides to give up, that power unit decides to give up, and he pulls onto the side of Rose. The safety car would really come in handy, but that is not going to be the case. But you can see that we skip all the way forward onto lap 14, and you can see that I'm struggling a lot. So the track is trying to get drier and drier, and we are 5 seconds away of Marcus Armstrong, and Mazepin gets a good exit, and side by side we go through Leffield, and I'm going to try to hold around the outside. This is going to be really hard because I think the wets are starting to not be the best tire, as we are still going at it. I'm going to try to give him a little bit of a squeeze to the Russian, which we do, so we force it a little bit onto the curb, but he gets a good traction, and there he is. He's going to try to go around the outside, but we just about closed the door, and now he might be under pressure from Joe as they're going side by side. I think I can see in the mirrors, so apologies, there's no replay camera. There is the replay camera, and Joe gets through, and Mazepin now he might be under pressure from Luciotto, but he somehow finds the traction, finds a grip to go side by side with the UNI Virtuos. This is brilliant stuff between the two high-techs and the two UNI Virtuos, as Callum Ilott is with the privilege view, but he's not doing anything at the moment, and these guys are losing time with each other, and this is great for me because I really need to secure this position in order to get a good position for the next race, the sprint race, as Mazepin is going to try to go around the outside, but it's going to be really hard, and Joe gets through and gets up into P12. I think it's already over. He's just get a good braking zone, but Mazepin comes back. Brilliant stuff. The Russian is doing bits at the moment, doing everything to get that 12th place. Brilliant stuff, but he's not even for points, but it's incredible how much they are squabbling. You can see that I'm pulling away massively as they are still going at now. Arlo trying to get the position of Giotto, but Giotto is trying to go around the outside of Joe. Everyone is battling left to right. This is unbelievable as my tires are going away. You can see in the EMFD, and Mazepin now is going to get a good chance on the final DRS. And look at my tires, 60% on the front left, and Mazepin is gaining and gaining. DRS is already deployed, so he's going to make things easier for Mazepin. Side by side we go through cops, and I'm going to run a little bit deep. I outbrake too much Mazepin as we still go side by side. Yellow flags, and Mazepin is round. We made contact with the Russian, and Mazepin is going to probably finish in last place. Controversial moments between me and Nikita Mazepin, but for us no penalty whatsoever. We're going to cross the line in P11 in a very epic and frustrating race at the same time.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
Brilliant stuff from ART today. What a superb victory. And I have to wonder, Davide Valsecchi, just what set them apart from the competition here.
I think this race was won thanks to the tire management. You have to remember, it's not just about going as fast as you can. It's about consistency. It's about maintaining your speed over the entire race distance. So being able to keep the lap time competitive while still respecting the tires, that's where they won today.
ART, the French team who have been racing since the 90s in various forms of motorsport, are once again back on the winner's podium today after a brilliant display of driving skill.
Oh boy, what a race. It's a shame that this wasn't for the front places, but anyway, there is a race win. Christian Lundgaard followed Matsushita, so we didn't convert a pole position to the race win, but we're going to watch the replay and see what happened. So I ran deep into cops, I was too eager on the brakes, and you can see that much clearly from this point of view. Maybe I should have given him a little bit of room. We're going to see in a minute from Mazepin's POV, but that is a bit of a shame. He's going to start in last place for the sprint race. So we're going to see the Russian's POV. He's going to try to go run inside, but he's going to do the switchback because I run deep. And Oh, it turned a little bit into me, but I'm not gonna lie, I should have given a little bit of room, because I still had some track available to me on the left hand side, so I have to lift my hand and say that it is my fault, which is quite ironical to do on Mazepin. But anyway, there is confirmation results, and Christian Lundgaard gets a race win plus the fastest lap, 27 precious points in his championship tally, followed by Mick Schumacher in P7, so he's going to be in a very good position. He's going to start alongside Felipe Drugovich, but for us he's 0 points so far in a very frustrating British Grand Prix weekend. But anyway, we're not going to give up. In the championship standings there is Matsushita now up into first place, 6 points behind the Japanese, so we have a lot of work to do. I think we have a very good chance to regain the lead. It will depend on what we are going to do in the sprint race, the final race of round 7. We're going to start on the hard tires and we don't need to stop, there's no way. But you can see that we have some guys starting on the soft, so these guys, there's no way they're going to carry the soft tires till the end of the race. So we have once again those silly strategies in the F2 2020 category, which is a glitch in this game unfortunately, but anyway, we have to deal with it and we need to carry on. But here we go, 5 red lights, Mick Schumacher on the front row of the grid. 5 red lights, 11 laps ahead of us for this sprint race. Drag conditions finally, and it slides out on the way we go. It wasn't that much of a good start, and look at Carlo Milot with a beast of a start as we go side by side through the first go. Try to maybe to take a look around that side of Marcus Armstrong, but we can't do anything. And Marino Sato in P9 on the softest compound tire. Down inside we go of the Japanese, and we're going to try to make this very quick, but it's going to be really strong in the first laps of the race. Down around the outside now we go, we're going really deep, and that is going to allow to make maybe a move on Matsushita. Side by side we go, but we have tons of understeer, but somehow I still managed to find the grip to put my nose ahead of Matsushita. Side by side we go through Luffield, and Sato with a very privileged view, and they try to go up the inside. He's super strong in his first laps as I lose the back end momentarily, and that was really close to run to the back of the side pod of Matsushita. Championship rivalers. I had once again a little bit of oversteer, and that is going to allow Sato to go around the outside. Matsushita is getting away with this one, down in P8 with the final points so far, and side by side we go with Marino Sato, but we're going to respond that and giving a little bit of a squeeze. We're being really aggressive because I don't want to get out of here without any points, as we're still going at it through Margaret Beckens and Chapo. You can see how strong he is on those softer comparative tires, but that was, let me say, that was a brilliant save when I was trying to defend my position over Matsushita, and that's us in P9. So we're gaining position. There is your race leader Schumacher already jumped into the lead and overtook Drugovich, so this is really good for the team's championship. And Schumacher now is going to try to get away and break the DRS window. He's on the harder comparative tire, so he doesn't need to stop in this race. And we are still in P9 trying to get closer to Matsushita, but Sato is not making things really easy for me on those softest comparative tires. And down inside you go, run inside you go, now switch to the inside, and now it's going to be me switching to the inside line. But look at the traction that Sato has on the soft tires, as now is going to be a drag race through the final DRS. So no DRS is enabled so far, as I'm trying to get a very nice slipstream, very close margin. Carlo Milot with a very privileged view of this battle, but down inside we go through Stowe. Sooner rather than later, these soft tires are going to start to fall away a little bit, and I can get a little bit of a breathing space. Remember that we still have some softer runners ahead of us that need to stop. There's no way they're going to carry the soft tires, because this is the high tire wear circuit. As we cross the line, setting personal best, Matsushita with the fastest lap so far, and there he is with a slow car. This is Sato. Sato is out of the race. He's slowing it down. The Trident is going up in smoke, and we have the yellow flags and the safety car as being deployed. This is a blessing from the skies, because we're going to catch once again this train, and it's going to make things really easy for us, and maybe we can get a good start on the restart. I said start 2 times. Anyway, good English, as some guys are pulling into the pits. You can see on the minimap. So this is going to be guaranteed points for us if we don't do any silly things like it was in the last episode at the Austrian Grand Prix, which is we spun on the 3rd last lap, if I'm not wrong, and we are up into 6th place thanks to these silly strategies. Doing a stop around this circuit is what you don't want to do, because this is the longest pit lane in history, especially when you have a double stack, which is happening with the Campos cars. Samaya is ahead of Aitken, and they're fitting the hard tires, and look at that disaster for Campos, and it's being a torture of a wait to Jack Aitken being stuck there, and the pit stop in F2 are already slow. So make that with the double stack is the perfect recipe for strategical disaster. But there is a race leader so far, Mick Schumacher leading the race, followed by Drugovich, and then in the final step of the podium we have the Carlin of the Yuki Tsunoda, then Pedro Piquet, Matsushita, and then myself. So we are in a very good position to score a top 5 finish. It's going to be really good if we can do that, but it's not going to be an easy task whatsoever, because Matsushita has a championship lead to defend as this Grand Prix gets underway once again. And let's see if we can get this move, get ahead of Matsushita as quickly as we can, and maybe overtake PK and maybe overtake Tsunoda. It will depend the pace of these guys, as we are in the middle stage of the race and we have still some chances to maybe score a podium. It's going to be really hard as we skip a little bit further on at the end of lap 6, going purple on the second sector. So we are on the pace at the moment, trying to giving a little bit of a scare to Matsushita, but there's nothing that I could. Trying to take different lines, trying to get a good traction through the last corner, which we do so. Trying to take a wider line in order to get that beautiful switchback, and actually we got a pretty decent run, but I'm not going to risk anything so far because I don't want Matsushita to get away with in this weekend with myself not getting any points. So we're going to be really careful. We are scoring points at the moment. I need to be really cautious because the margins in the championship are starting to get a little bit slimmer and slimmer. Remember that we are already in the second half of the season. We get a good run on Matsushita through Stowe, and maybe this is going to allow us to go run aside of the Japanese or championship rival, and there he is. We are up into P5, so good progress at the moment. We are in a very good pace, and now ahead of us we have Pedro Piquet doing really good in these last 3 races, the Brazilian. It's a shame that he's not racing in a real life F2 this year, because actually he said that money was a huge problem for him. But anyway, we're going to focus on the virtual world, which we are doing right now, and try to catch full place, and maybe Jehan Derulo. So it isn't Yuki Tsunoda. When I was seeing the safety car, I saw an orange helmet. It looked to me orange, so for intuition I said that it was Yuki Tsunoda. But anyway, getting a very nice slipstream of Pedro Piquet, but there's nothing that I can do for now. So we're going to wait maybe for the second DRS zone of the second, as we're going purple on the first sector. So we are on the pace at the moment. It seems that we're performing really well on the hardest comparative tire. You can see that on the softest comparative tire we've not been really good on qualifying, but we get a nice run on PK and we managed to thread the needle and go side by side, but there's not enough speed to go side by side through cops. That was a very risky and a very good attempt on the Brazilian. So we need to wait once again. We're getting a really nice slipstream once again, but I'm going to wait for the second DRS zone, which is going to be over after this complex of corners. Really satisfying to do with an F1 car. It's a little bit frustrating to do with an F2 car, I'm not gonna lie, but let me say, you learn a lot when you drive with the F2 cars. You get really good at this game, as we're now gaining and gaining on PK. He's getting the up of the DRS. He's trying to go up, but he lost a bit of our front wing as I'm trying to find a gap to go run inside, of which we're doing so at the moment through Stowe. But you can see that I ran out of room and lost a bit of our front wing as we're going through the final corner, through the final couple of corners. This is the last lap, just want to remind you, and we're going to make the move on the Brazilian on the final couple of corners after losing a bit of our front wing in a very intense ending of the weekend.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
Great effort there from Prema to take the victory today. Davide, what do you think made the difference here?
Wow, well, there's no doubt that the race was impacted as soon as the safety car made an appearance. It was so important how the successful team today react to this situation. They were decisive and stuck to their strategy, which really helped them take an advantage.
As we look back on a thrilling race here today, we can now see the drivers take their places on the podium. It's a familiar sight by now, as it's another successful F2 win for Prema.
And once again, for the second time in this episode, what a race, but finally we managed to battle for the front places. I think our biggest struggles during this weekend was the soft tires and the wet conditions, but thankfully we managed to minimize the damage. We set the fast lap and finished in P4. That incident with PK, I was trying to go run inside, I forced the outside move, but the gap wasn't there, so it was my fault. So once again I made contact for the second time in this episode, so I've been really punchy. I'm going to try to be cleaner in the next episode, which is going to be at the Hungarian Grand Prix. But anyway, you have the confirmation results and points overall, with Matsushita in second place, just 1 point to drift of Christian Lundgaard. So it's not been a very good weekend for us. We lost the championship lead in the first race, but now after this one you can see that we are level level on points, so this is getting hotter and hotter, and hopefully the guys that are ahead behind us are going to start to get in the fight. It's going to be really hard, but you can see that Christian Lundgaard is 55 points behind. So it's been like I said, it's been a league about me and Matsushita for the championship. But anyway, the team standings, we are 7 points behind MP Motorsports. So Schumacher is starting to pick up the pace a little bit, which I really want. I want to get the double championship, not just the drivers one. But anyway, guys, that has been round 7 of my F2 2020 career mode as Robert Shwartzman. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to smash like and subscribe to channel to see plenty more Formula 1 content and F2 content. Really motivates me to make more. Make sure to join the family. We're going to have an absolute banger of a time here. But that has been me for today. My name's Tom, and I'll see you guys for a brand new video next time. But for now, take care.